Beautiful. Hopefully I'm all in shot. If not, I don't really care. And hopefully the audio is not too bad for you guys. It's the last thing I want, but hopefully if it's like kind of shit, like we'll just have to make do. You know, hopefully the message will just come across more than the audio. So first things first. Oh, like nectar from the gods. Elixir of life. I always remember from Fish Hooks. I think his name's Milo, I'm not sure. And there's this Earth Day episode where he's like, he just keeps wasting colas and sodas, whatever. I think Milo's the one with the afro. I think it's Ethan. Is it Ethan? It doesn't really fucking matter. Anyway, the blue fish is like, he just keeps throwing cans after the first sip. And the afro fish is like, why the fuck are you doing that?
What are you doing? You took one sip from that soda.
And he's like, because after the first sip, like the rest is just shit.
Bro, the first sip of a soda is always the best. After that, it's all downhill.
And it's like stuck in my head ever since. I still obviously drink the rest, but it's nothing compared to that first sip. But it could be our little prop today. Something interesting just happened. So it's still the 11th. I've got a couple more YouTube videos to record, but I couldn't not help but like want to record this one as quickly as I could, so it's still fresh in my mind. So I'm gonna break it down. If I remember, I should do. Fuck you, editor Harry, don't get lazy. Is I'll timestamp it, so like if you don't want to hear me waffling, you just want like the juicy bits, like feel free to skip ahead. You know, I'm not gonna hold you to that. You do what you want. You get your information. But how today started was, I was like, I've got batch C coming up in a few weeks. I need to get a haircut now, so I'm not faffing about it later. You know, debating it and, you know, looking like a hooligan. And I was like, fuck it, we'll go to our regular Turkish barbers, the one down at the bottom of Ashby. And as I'm walking past, I see like the kid they're training there, and then like some of the other barbers, I didn't recognize any of them, and I was just like, it's too risky, you know, that's too risky. I said, we'll try. So like, if this is the normal barbers, like we're walking, I'm like, walk around here. And I walk around the back near the co-op, and there's this little hidden one. I don't know what the fuck it's called. It's like the grooming room or something. It's quite a funny name. But I didn't go in that one either. I was just like, it looked kind of dead in there. I think one of my friends has been in there, but it looked dead, and they didn't really look like barbers. And I was like, that's too awkward. I can't be asked for that shit. Or like, the main thing for me was like, I can't be asked to wait either. Like, I can deal with awkwardness, but I can't bother to wait. I was like, fuck it, we'll walk around and we'll loop around to go back to the Turkish barbers. And as I'm coming up this classic alley, I'm about halfway up, and I was like, oh, there's a barber's here that I used to go to with my dad when I was a kid. And I was like, let's have a look. Like, why not? Why not switch it up a bit? Worst they give us is like an okay haircut. It's like actually pretty not. It's like not bad, to be fair. I'm pretty happy with this. But what I paid for with £15 for a haircut was arguably like a sales lesson, and some interesting insight into like the consumer mind, or at least like, you know, people's objections to making content. And I go in and I'm just like, fuck it, right, whatever, sit down, cracking jokes with this lady, and you know, just shit like, I call it extrovert reps. Like, I'm not an extrovert at heart, but I realize the importance of being able to speak to almost anyone and like be charismatic and be able to carry a conversation. It's all about being like some, I don't even know what you'd call it, just some crazy, like, you managed to fucking, everyone loves you, all that shit. Like, I don't care about that, but more just like, if you were to, like, if someone was like, yeah, if you just ask this person, can I have £1 million, they'll give it to you. But you're just like, oh fuck, this is awkward. What do I say? What do I do? Versus like the guy that just goes up and is like, do you know what? Can I have £1 million, mate? And they're like, yeah, why not? You're like, obviously it's hypothetical, but just to illustrate the point, like, you have to build on that. Like, you might be naturally more born kind of extroverted. Like, the whole concept is, do you get energy when you speak to people, or do you like burn energy doing it? And for the most part, I've burnt energy, but there's some fundamental truths I want to quickly cover before the haircut. So again, like, if you want to skip, I'll put timestamps. So it's like, why does that matter? And it's like, well, I was watching some TikToks, and it was like, point of view, you're watching an extrovert, and one of the things the extrovert was doing is he's just like, you see him talk to some guy at like a football stadium, a hairdresser or whatever, and he's like, and he just looks like excited. And all these people in the comments were like, oh, like, I just wish I could do that, and woe is me, and I'm fucking this, and I'm fucking that, and I'm like, you're all pathetic. But then I was like, who am I to talk? Like, I don't speak to random people that often. But there was something interesting. One of my thoughts came back to me, and it was like, when people say I have social anxiety and they say, oh, I'm scared people will look at me, it's like, how fucking selfish are you to think that everyone gives that much of a shit about you? Trust me, bro. That fucking pissed off man that's waiting for the bus, yeah, he might, in his head, he might be like, fuck that person over there. But at the same time, he doesn't actually give a shit. He's going to forget about you in 2 minutes when his bus takes him to his, like, whatever job. And then, that's about it. No one really is ever going to confront you about anything. Oh, what, they might say something weird about my jacket. If someone does, then that just shows them how much of a fucking dickhead they are. Like, you have nothing to worry about. You're just like, thank God I don't know you, because I would not want to be associated with you. But it ties back to this thing of, like, you are selfish. You are so self-absorbed. Even, you try and cover it in pity. You're like, no, but, like, it makes me feel shit about myself. It's like, cool, no one cares. No one gives a shit, right? It's just like, oh, but like, you know, what are people going to think? They're going to think you're a loser. Straight up. And that, all these thoughts came back to me, and I was just like, it's the same thing about introverts and extroverts. I watched one of my best friends, the way he interacts, he's naturally extrovert, and it's just like, if there's one lesson I picked up, like, if you had to boil it all down, it's just, he just didn't care. He wasn't trying to win anything. He was just there to, like, have some fun and get energy, right? And so I boiled it down to this. For an introvert, they're so focused on trying to impress someone or make them laugh or be interesting that they're missing the bigger picture, which is actually just connecting with someone. Because even if they buy into it, it's like, oh, I really like that person, they were really interesting. It's like, you've now got to hold up that facade. So the way to do it is just be yourself. And you're like, what the fuck? Because by trying so hard to make someone laugh, you probably miss your opportunity. They don't give a shit anyway. And then, like, okay, you got the joke off. When's the next one coming? Like, you don't just do one joke and that's it for the rest of your life, right? And I just think it's super interesting. Like, the extrovert mind is just, where does the energy come from? It's like, introverted people are trying to hold this image of themselves. They want to project an image. Extroverted people want to know about the other person. That's the fucking difference. So if you look at an introvert, it's, yes, what could I say here to sound cool, impressive, this? An extrovert is doing the opposite. They're almost like salespeople at heart. So we've just met, this is the person. Oh, you're right, mate. It's with the white jacket. Where's that come from then? You know, you might not say it like that, but they go, oh, I got it from a thrift shop. You go thrift shopping? What the fuck? How often do you do that then? Oh, once a week, something like that. And I'm like, once a week? Jesus Christ, that much set you back an arm and a leg. What would you do for work to afford that kind of habit, right? Maybe you wouldn't speak like that, maybe you wouldn't. But the point is, you ask questions that lead into another one. Not because you're trying to interrogate them or because you're trying to get something over this. You're just genuinely curious, right? Instead of looking at me and trying to be like, how do I speak to this person? Just be like, why are you drinking a Monster? But like, make it a bit humorous. So like, it's a light Monster. You go, do you know what? I fucking love Monster Energy too. My favourite is actually the green one. The white one's pretty banging though. Like, is the white one your favourite? No, I'd be like, yeah, it is, to be fair. It's like, oh, right. Would you drink it before the gym? No, I don't go to the gym. Oh, why not? You just ask them fucking questions. You just ask them questions, trying to be curious. If they tell you to fuck off, then you just fuck off. It's the same as sales calls. And the introvert mind is like, oh, but what if they reject me? Cool. You've got to think of it like this. Reframe it as like, same with sales. Every no is one step closer to a yes. So whether that's just someone you fuck with for a bit and you just have a funny conversation, or maybe they become a lifelong friend. But that's how you have to view it, right? That's what I mean by these extroverted reps. And that's what I'm trying to build on. It's just natural question asking, to be curious. And I tried it today at the barbers. I'll just go quick few examples. The lady was like, oh, did you go out last night? I was like, no. I was like, I just edited in my room. She's like, you edited in your room? I was like, yeah, I had some drinks there. It's a bit sad, but you know, you got to get through it. She was like, what the fuck? But then instead of just leaving it at that, I asked her, I was like, did you go out? She goes, no, I didn't. I stayed at home, like pajamas and whatever. And I was like, did you drink? She's like, yeah, I did have some vodka. And then again, I was just like, oh, I like vodka. I was like, well, what would you go for the mixer? I usually go for like lemonade or Red Bull. It's like, no, I can't do Red Bull, I do lemonade. I'm like, And then I was like, why vodka though? And she's like, oh, because I've got this many drinks in the house. I'm like, cool. Like, you ever thought about drinking rum and coke? She's like, you know what? Not been a big rum and coke fan. She's like, oh, but someone did give me crack. And I was like, I love crack. And I was like, it's a bit expensive though. I usually go for Captain Morgan Spice rum. And then the other hairdresser started chirping up about it. It's like, yeah, that's a good one. I was like, so good, right? It's more sweet than. And then the lady's like, is it spicy? I was like, yeah, just burn your tongue a bit if you have it like, you know, dry. But it's just like, use your own experiences. Like, you're just basically asking questions until you find common ground. Like, if you didn't drink, then just keep asking until you find something that you can relate with. And whatever situation you're in, just ask about that. If you're ever unsure, don't try and go specific, try and go broad. If I had nothing to say, I go, just start asking them questions about being a fucking barber or hairdresser. Just like, what's like the worst haircut you hate doing that you get requested the most or something? Just ask it and they'll be like, oh, this one. You're like, really? Why that one? Well, because this. I go, what would you do if I got that haircut next time? You know, just stupid shit and just play into jokes. And it's that fucking simple. And obviously it's just time over, like, was it tension over time? I can't think. It's like, instead of like doing bicep curls quick, like you kind of hold the shit there and it's like, but you need time to do it and recover. So this is a fucking lesson on introverts and extroverts. But I remember the original point, which is quite funny, is the sales objections. I mean, technically we are still talking about the sales thing. I don't care how long this goes on for. I guarantee someone will find this useful. Even if one person out of like 100,000 people finds this useful. But the point is, like, you just have to accept that these things will take time. And it's sort of like, my why is strong enough to be like, I will put myself in those uncomfortable positions and try and unlock more stuff. It's not about like having the perfect conversation or I need to ask 5 why questions to get X results. Like, no, just be curious. And like, don't be a dick. Do you know what I mean? Don't be like, I don't know, vodka. Why the fuck do you drink vodka? It was just more like, why vodka? You know, like, why vodka? Why not anything else? Oh, because this. I'm like, I'm more of a rum guy. I am, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? It just doesn't matter. Like, don't give a shit. But yeah, long story short, the bit I want to get to was like, she asked me about what I did, and I was like, oh, well, no, sorry. She goes, so you're editing any videos tonight? I went, yeah, I didn't want to say outright what I was doing, but I was just like, yeah, I'm editing them for a couple of friends. I run a content agency. She was like, oh, could you do some for us? I was like, yeah, why not? And I was like so close to being like, for the right price. And I was like, just don't say it, because I was like, they're joking. Like, she's like, oh yeah, we could do some stuff in here, like record us, this, that. I'm like, yeah, sounds great. I'll get the camera loaded up. Like, obviously I don't even have a fucking camera on me. But what did she say? She's like, yeah, like what people do is uninformed optimism. They like the idea of pretending they're really good first, or like having the idea in the head. They like almost manifesting, but not. They're seeing this like highlight reel of when they've already made it. Oh, we're going to be filming shit, and people are going to be tapping likes and commenting, and then it was very quickly brought down to how do you even do content? I was like, oh well, this is that. You just post reels, post whatever the fuck. And then she goes, this is where she gave me a first objection. I didn't even realize we were in a sales call. I was in a fucking barber chair, mate. She just goes, yeah, but like, I hate the sound of my own voice. And I was like, why? She was just like, well, I don't know, it's just me. I was like, yeah, but you've been talking to me for the past 20 minutes. Like, nothing's changed. That's just how you sound. Like, this is the first time I've seen you, nothing. She's like, yeah, but it's just yourself. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, you're your own worst enemy for it. And then I was like, but what have like you actually done in the past to hate your own voice? She said, well, oh, my friend sends me voice notes. Sent me like 28 voice notes. I said, yeah. And she said, it gives me the ick. And I was like, what, your friend gives you the ick? She was like, no, I give myself the ick when I have to send them back and I listen to them. I'm like, good. I'm like, the more times you do it and listen to it specific, like you consciously listen to it, the less you'll hate it over time. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I was like, I used to despise my own voice. Christ. Until I did it. And then I was just like, oh, no, I don't care. Like, I'll talk about anything. It's like, interesting. And then that was where I kind of clocked where this was going. And then she goes, let me just get it up because I don't want to miss out. There's quite interesting in this. Yeah. So at first it was, I hate my voice. Then she said, I don't know what to say on camera. And I was a bit more like, you know, just start, like do anything. And then, what did she fucking say? Yeah, she was like, oh, like I could go live. And I said, yeah, going live right now is the meta. And in my head, I was like thinking of Hormozy and his $100 million money models book. That's why I keep seeing all these fucking coaches on my feed going live. And I'm like, oh, God. But I said, lives are the meta. And she went, what? And I said, the meta. I said, like, because when you go live, it's like way more raw. There's no polished scripts or editing. It's just you and it's you in the barbershop and what happens in the day. And that's the fastest way to build trust. And she was like laughing to the other lady, saying, oh yeah, we could do this and this and that. Like, cool. And then reality set in again, and she's just like, oh, but like I wouldn't know what to say. And I was like, that's the whole point. Like, you don't need to know. You just film your day and just go about it. Like, you're not trying to be entertaining. You just will be entertaining over time. And then she's like, yeah, it all sounds great, but she's like, I don't know what to post. Like, I'm not tech savvy. And I was like, where have I heard this before? And I was just like, okay, well, you know, do you use Instagram now? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, what have you posted? She said, oh, well, I've done like a reel of my holiday. I was like, there you go. And I was like, she's like, yeah, but I just don't even know what to do. I was like, well, how did you upload that? She's like, well, I put a few pictures or videos and whatever, and then I clicked, you know, button and it uploaded. I was like, that's all you need. Like, nothing fancy. And then at the end, she just said, oh, I don't know, like that. And I was just like, all right, fair enough. And I was like, we'll just end this here, because obviously I'm not trying to close. But I just thought it was hilarious. When I came out, I was like, that was just like a mini sales thing. And she just gave me perfect insight into why people don't do content. And they're a business owner, technically. It's barbers. But I came back and oh shit. And I was like, I really want to record this video, just get it out while my thoughts are juicy and live. And I put it into ChatGPT to help me with the objections, so I can like study them a bit more. I'll read your GPTs. If you're a salesman, you might think these are a bag of shit, or you might be like, there's better ways to say it. But what I'll do is I'll say them now. So like, if anyone watching, maybe you can learn with me as well. So the first one was like, I hate my voice. Now, what that really means underneath is fear of judgment, insecurity, unfamiliarity with hearing themselves, and a better response that I could have said was something like, yeah, honestly, everyone does at first. Even I used to cringe at my own voice, but the fastest way to stop hating your voice is to hear it a lot. Think of it like the gym. The first session is always agony. Then after about a week, it kind of dies down. 2 weeks in, a month in, like you wake up and you're not hurting at all, and you kind of like wish it was hurting because you were so used to it, right? Voice reps are real reps. Obviously, I would probably would have reduced the last bit a bit more, but I don't really know how to go that. And then, yeah, basically just saying like, I could have gone like way deeper there, but obviously I'm in a barber's chat. I didn't realize we were going to be doing a fucking sales call live. But it was interesting. And then the second one was like, I don't know what to say on camera. So the subtext is fear of blanking or overthinking structure and thinking, you know, you need to be like polished as fuck. So the better response is something like, yeah, I get you, you're totally normal. You don't need to sound like David Attenborough narrating your life. You just need one sentence to start. For example, here's what happened today in the barbershop. And then it flows. Most people overcomplicate it, just start messy, and then you can just slowly start trimming the edges as it goes around, pun intended. Or even cheekier, you already talked to your mates on voice notes, just do the same thing and press record. Like if you can pull, that's what I mean by like, the extrovert reps, and like you got to analyze your situations. Because if you could pull that, let me try and do it to the camera, you can hear how like stupid I sound. Let me just do it. Oh, I don't know what to say on camera though. It's like, we already talked to your mates on voice notes. It's just the same thing, but just press record and upload it to Instagram instead of to your mate. You know, maybe there's a better way of framing it, but something like that would be like, when you can pull off that level of sales, like you're fucking an animal, mate. Like you're an actual fucking animal. Okay, next one. I'm not tech savvy. I don't want to say the word tech savvy. Fear of looking stupid. It's an avoidance tactic. So the better response is like perfect. That's actually an advantage. It means you'll keep it simple. There's no need for a fucking Steven Spielberg edit. Literally just hit record, tap post, and you already do that with selfies and holiday reels. It's just the same thing, but just with your face. And then she did say like going live sounds a bit scary. So it's like going live sounds scary. She didn't fully articulate it, but you could sense the vibe. And then you go, yeah, going live does feel scary the first time. Then the second time, it feels like FaceTime your mate. It's actually easier than posting an edited video because people expect it to be raw and kind of shit. It builds trust a lot more with your audience because you can answer their questions live. And then obviously, yeah, like you could add a Hormozy style riff where it's like, you know, that's why you see everyone in their nine going live now. It's meta and it works. Obviously, you wouldn't say that to the prospect, but it's like that's what you've got in your head. And then the last one is just, I don't know, deflected banter. She's basically testing if you actually believe what you're saying. Look, you don't have to become a TikTok star overnight, but you'd be shocked what happens if you post just once a week. Like worst case, no one sees it. But the best case, someone books a haircut because they like your vibe. It's free real estate. And yeah, this is why I love the butterfly effect. It's so interesting. All because my usual barber wasn't there. I decided to go around. That one had people in. That was like number 2. And then this one, I was like, fuck it. And happened to get that woman on the checks. There's two ladies in there. Crazy. You've got to take these opportunities by the horns, you know. It's a metaphor, but that actually happened though. That's White Goodman. But yeah, it's just like, there's opportunities hiding everywhere for practice and reps. Extroverted reps. Whenever I go to Greg's now, I try and like say something. Haircuts will now be one. Maybe at the co-op. That's the one I've not tried yet. Because like the people in there, they're not like scary, but they're just like older and like old women. They're kind of just like, you know, they don't ID me for my monster. But yeah, I'll just ask them a question next time, I think, and then I'll update. But I'll see if there's anything else I can leave you off on that would be good. Yeah, basic lessons from today is just don't overthink shit. Get curious and ask questions, not for trying to win friend points or cool points. It's purely just because you're interested about the person. Because when you ask someone and they kind of get excited, you get energy from it. You're like, why are you doing that? What? How come you want to do this? And they go, because I like doing this. You go, I like doing that too. That's how you do it. Like, not like fucking, why are you doing that? Or, oh, let me think of a funny joke, right? Next thing is, you can learn anything from anywhere, basically, as long as you have a few base ideas. And yeah, like hopefully you can follow me on this journey of learning sales, content, whatever the fuck, navigating life, and we can go through this together. You can learn with me in real time. But I hope this was fucking helpful. If it was, please leave a like. Go check out my Instagram, harryleadbeater_. If you really enjoyed this video and you want to follow along and you want to improve together with me, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.